idle imagination once more. All the way talking about.
Today, this movie is considered one of the greatest comedies ever made. But when it first hit theaters in 1938, it nearly destroyed the careers of everyone involved. It went wildly over budget, fell behind schedule, terrified its leading man with a real leopard, and helped earn its star the infamous label of box office poison. The cast couldn't stop laughing, the script was completely out of control, and Hollywood thought this movie was a disaster. Today on Iconic TV Rewind, we will discover 20 weird and surprisingly hilarious facts behind Bringing Up Baby.
What was it? Oh! David, you think?
Fact number 1. This classic comedy was labeled box office poison. Today, Bringing Up Baby is hailed as one of the greatest comedies ever made. But when it premiered in 1938, Hollywood saw it as proof that something had gone terribly wrong. That same year, a trade magazine ran a now infamous ad listing major stars whose talent was unquestioned, but whose films were supposedly losing studios money. At the top of that list was Katharine Hepburn. The phrase they used was brutal and unforgettable. Box office poison. Bringing Up Baby became one of the films blamed for that reputation. Audiences weren't prepared for its breakneck pace, surreal situations, or the way it gleefully ignored traditional romantic comedy rules. Studio executives didn't see innovation. They saw risk. And instead of celebrating Hepburn's fearless performance, Hollywood quietly began backing away from her. What makes this story so ironic is that the very qualities that doomed the film in 1938 are exactly why it's revered today. The movie didn't fail because it was bad. It failed because it was decades ahead of its time. Fact number 2. Cary Grant's iconic scream was completely unscripted. One of the most unforgettable moments in Bringing Up Baby happens when Cary Grant lets out a shrill, high-pitched scream after realizing the leopard is loose. And as ridiculous as it feels, that reaction wasn't carefully choreographed or planned in advance. It was pure instinct. Grant reacted in the moment, abandoning his polished movie star composure in favor of genuine panic. The scream caught everyone off guard, including the crew, but director Howard Hawks immediately knew he had something special. Grant wasn't trying to be suave or clever. He was terrified, flailing, and completely undignified, which made the moment land even harder. Hawks kept it in precisely because it shattered Grant's refined image in the funniest way possible. Fact number 3. The movie went wildly over budget and behind schedule. Behind the scenes, Bringing Up Baby was not a smooth production. It was a logistical nightmare. The film ran approximately 40 days behind schedule and went more than $330,000 over budget, an enormous overrun for the late 1930s. By the time filming wrapped, the final cost exceeded $1 million, a staggering gamble for RKO. What caused the chaos wasn't incompetence, it was perfectionism. Director Howard Hawks pushed for endless retakes, fine-tuning comic timing down to the smallest gesture or pause. Scenes that look effortless on screen were filmed again and again until every beat landed exactly right. Add in actors breaking character, improvised moments, and a live leopard on set, and the delays piled up fast. To the studio, it looked like a runaway disaster. To Hawks, it was the only way to make comedy work at this level. Fact number 4. Katharine Hepburn had never done comedy before this film. As surprising as it sounds, Bringing Up Baby was Katharine Hepburn's very first comedy. Before this film, she was known almost entirely for dramatic roles, strong, serious characters with emotional weight and intensity. Screwball comedy was an entirely different skill set, and Hepburn had never been trained for it. Howard Hawks knew this going in, which is why he took an unusual step. He hired veteran vaudevillians specifically to coach Hepburn on physical comedy, timing, and gag delivery. She learned how to fall, how to interrupt dialogue, how to weaponize awkwardness, all skills that comedy demands, but drama rarely requires. By the end of filming, Hepburn wasn't just keeping up with Cary Grant, she was matching him beat for beat, transforming herself into one of cinema's greatest comedic performers in a single film. Fact number 5. The stars couldn't stop laughing during filming. One of the biggest reasons Bringing Up Baby fell behind schedule had nothing to do with budgets or animals. It was laughter. Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn found each other so funny that scenes regularly collapsed mid-take as one or both broke down laughing. The situations were absurd, the dialogue was relentless, and the chemistry between the two was electric. Once someone cracked, the entire set followed. Cameras would stop rolling, crew members waited it out, and scenes had to be reset from scratch. While it drove the studio crazy, that uncontrollable joy is baked into the film's DNA. The laughter wasn't manufactured. It was two actors having the time of their lives, even if it nearly derailed the production. Fact number 6. Katharine Hepburn pranked Cary Grant with a fake leopard. Cary Grant tolerated many things on the set of Bringing Up Baby, but one thing he genuinely did not enjoy was the leopard. He respected it, he kept his distance from it, and he absolutely did not want to be surprised by it. Naturally, Katharine Hepburn decided this made him the perfect target for a prank. Knowing Grant's nerves around the animal, Hepburn arranged for a stuffed leopard to be lowered through a vent above his dressing room. Grant had no warning, no time to prepare, and no idea it wasn't real. The moment he saw it, instinct kicked in. According to crew stories, he was out of that dressing room like lightning. It was classic Hepburn, mischievous, fearless, and completely unbothered by the chaos she caused, and it perfectly summed up the dynamic on set. Playful, reckless, and just a little bit unhinged. Fact number 7. A real leopard was used, and it almost attacked Hepburn. As funny as the leopard stories are, there were moments when the danger was very real. In one scene, Katharine Hepburn wore a skirt lined with small metal pieces designed to give it extra swing on camera. During filming, she turned abruptly, causing the skirt to flare unexpectedly behind her. That sudden movement caught the leopard's attention. The animal reacted instinctively and lunged toward her back, mistaking the motion for something alive. The situation was diffused before anyone was hurt, but it was a sobering reminder of how unpredictable working with wild animals could be. The moment rattled the crew, but Hepburn barely flinched. Her calm reaction only reinforced her reputation as fearless, a trait that would impress everyone working with the animal that day. Fact number 8. The leopard's trainer said Hepburn could be an animal trainer. After witnessing Hepburn's composure around the leopard, the animal's trainer reportedly offered her an unexpected compliment. He said she was so calm, confident, and intuitive with the animal that she could have become an animal trainer herself if she wanted to. This wasn't Hollywood flattery. Working with big cats required absolute control of fear and body language. Nervous energy could trigger aggression, but Hepburn remained steady and unshaken, even in moments that made seasoned crew members uneasy. Her fearlessness wasn't an act. It was genuine, and it became a defining part of her screen persona. On a film filled with chaos, fast dialogue, and unpredictable animals, Hepburn somehow managed to be the calmest presence in the room. Fact number 9. The movie contains one of cinema's earliest references to homosexuality. One of the most surprising moments in Bringing Up Baby comes from a single throwaway line that has echoed through film history. At one point, Cary Grant's character casually says that he went gay, a line that has since been cited as one of the earliest references to homosexuality in mainstream American cinema. Whether the line was intended as a joke, a misunderstanding, or a sly innuendo remains debated, but what's undeniable is how unusual it was for the time. In 1938, even indirect references to sexuality were heavily policed by Hollywood's moral codes. The line slipped through largely because of its rapid delivery and comic context. It's another example of how Bringing Up Baby pushed boundaries without stopping to explain itself, trusting speed, humor, and audience intuition to carry it forward. Fact number 10. The script was a massive 202 pages long. Screwball comedies are known for fast dialogue, but Bringing Up Baby took that idea to an extreme. The final shooting script came in at a staggering 202 pages, nearly double the length of a standard screenplay. If filmed exactly as written, it would have resulted in a movie over 3 hours long. The excessive length came from non-stop dialogue, overlapping conversations, and dense comedic beats packed into every scene. Characters rarely paused. Jokes piled on top of jokes. There was almost no breathing room. Howard Hawks treated the script less like a rigid blueprint and more like a playground, trimming and reshaping as he went. What remained was a film that feels fast because it literally never slows down, a relentless barrage of comedy that still feels modern today. Fact number 11. The movie used extensive split-screen trickery to protect the actors. As wild as Bringing Up Baby feels, a surprising amount of it was carefully engineered to keep its stars safe. Despite the on-screen illusion that Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn were constantly inches away from a live leopard, much of that proximity was a trick. The production relied heavily on split screens, rear projection, and optical effects to create the illusion of danger without putting the actors at real risk. In many shots, the leopard was filmed separately, then combined with footage of the actors in post-production. This allowed Hawks to keep the comedy tight and visually convincing while minimizing unpredictable encounters. It's an early example of Hollywood using visual effects not for spectacle, but for safety. And the fact that audiences never noticed at the time speaks to how seamlessly the illusion worked. Fact number 12. A puppet leopard was secretly used in some scenes. When even visual tricks weren't enough, the filmmakers turned to something far more unexpected: a puppet. In several shots, especially those involving close physical interaction, a fake leopard was quietly swapped in to avoid unnecessary risk. One of the clearest examples appears after Susan drags the leopard into the jail, where the animal suddenly becomes much less alive. The switch was subtle, quick, and designed to keep the comedy flowing without drawing attention to the substitution. At a time when audiences weren't trained to look for effects, the illusion worked beautifully. It's another reminder that while Bringing Up Baby feels chaotic, nearly every dangerous moment was carefully planned behind the scenes. Fact number 13, the famous intercostal clavicle. Bone doesn't exist. One of the film's most memorable running jokes revolves around the mysterious intercostal clavicle, a bone everyone seems desperate to find. The problem is simple: it isn't real. The name is complete nonsense. Intercostal refers to spaces between ribs, while clavicle is just another word for collarbone. Put together, they describe absolutely nothing in human anatomy. That was entirely the point. The absurdity of the term perfectly matched the film's escalating madness. Characters speak about it with total seriousness, which only makes the joke land harder. It's a classic example of screwball comedy logic. Say something confidently enough, and the audience will happily follow you into nonsense. Fact number 14. George the dog was already a movie star. The lovable terrier George wasn't just a scene stealer, he was already famous. The dog was played by Skippy, best known to audiences as Asta from the Thin Man film series. By the time Bringing Up Baby was made, Skippy was one of Hollywood's most recognizable animal actors, with impeccable timing and a resume most humans would envy. His performance added another layer of polish to the film, especially in scenes that depended on precise reactions and physical comedy. Skippy didn't just hit his marks, he enhanced the chaos. And for audiences who recognized him, his presence was like a subtle wink from the filmmakers. Fact number 15. Cary Grant based his character on silent film legend Harold Lloyd. Cary Grant's performance in Bringing Up Baby feels effortless, but it was carefully modeled after a silent comedy legend. Director Howard Hawks shaped Grant's character after Harold Lloyd, the bespectacled everyman famous for combining physical comedy with controlled panic. That influence is why Grant wears glasses and leans so heavily into exaggerated reactions. Grant wasn't playing a suave leading man here. He was playing a man unraveling in real time. The inspiration helped him embrace pratfalls, nervous energy, and escalating frustration without losing charm. The result was a performance that bridged silent-era physical comedy with modern dialogue-driven humor, helping redefine what a romantic leading man could be. Fact number 16. The screenwriters had a scandalous affair while writing the film. While Bringing Up Baby was causing chaos on screen, the drama behind the scenes extended to the writer's room. During the years the film was being developed, screenwriters Dudley Nichols and Hagar Wilde were involved in a romantic relationship that became an open secret in Hollywood social circles. Wilde was often seen accompanying Nichols to events, raising eyebrows in an industry that preferred its scandals well hidden. The relationship eventually collapsed, but during its peak, it added another layer of intensity to an already volatile production. Whether coincidence or not, the script crackles with tension, rapid-fire exchanges, and emotional whiplash, the kind of energy that often comes from real-life passion bleeding into creative work. Fact number 17. Baby was originally a panther. In the original source material that inspired the film, Baby wasn't a leopard at all. He was a panther. The change was made during development, likely because leopards were more familiar and visually distinctive to audiences at the time. Spots were funnier, spots read better on screen, and spots made the animal feel slightly less menacing. Even with the change, the premise remained outrageous. A full-grown big cat treated like an unruly house pet. That absurd contrast is what makes the comedy work. Whether panther or leopard, Baby was never meant to be realistic. He was meant to be chaos incarnate. Fact number 18. Hepburn bought out her contract because of this film's failure. The box office failure of Bringing Up Baby had immediate and painful consequences. RKO executives blamed the film's underperformance on Katharine Hepburn and began planning to cast her in projects she had no interest in making. Rather than accept those assignments, Hepburn made a bold and risky move. She bought out her own contract. At the time, this was nearly unheard of, especially for an actress whose career was supposedly declining. But that decision gave her control over her future. Instead of fading away, Hepburn reinvented herself on stage and eventually returned to Hollywood stronger than ever, proving that the label box office poison would not define her legacy. Fact number 19, the film's failure cost Howard Hawks a major project. Katharine Hepburn wasn't the only one affected by the film's reception. Director Howard Hawks also paid a price. Despite crafting one of the most inventive comedies of the era, Hawks was quietly removed from consideration for major studio projects. Most notably, he lost the opportunity to direct Gunga Din in 1939. From the studio's perspective, Bringing Up Baby was a financial risk that didn't pay off. From history's perspective, it was a misunderstood masterpiece. Hawks would eventually recover and continue building his legendary career, but for a time, this film's failure closed doors rather than opening them. Fact number 20. The torn dress scene came from a mortifying real-life moment. One of the film's most memorable gags, Cary Grant desperately holding his torn clothing together, was inspired by something that actually happened to him. While attending a show at the Roxy Theater, Grant accidentally caught the back of a woman's dress in his zipper. Neither of them could move without making the situation worse. The two were forced to walk together in perfect lockstep through the theater to find pliers to separate them, all while trying to maintain dignity. The humiliation stuck with Grant, and it was later transformed into comedy gold. It's a perfect example of how real embarrassment often makes the funniest material.
Something horrible has happened.
Well, don't tell me about it. Just get out of it as best you can.
Bringing Up Baby nearly ended careers, terrified its leading man, and confused audiences in 1938, only to become one of the greatest comedies of all time decades later. Proof that sometimes Hollywood gets it completely wrong before history sets the record straight. If you enjoyed this deep dive into classic comedy chaos, let us know by hitting like and subscribing for more behind-the-scenes stories from Hollywood's golden age. And now, we want to hear from you. What classic comedies or old Hollywood films should we cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments, whether it's screwball, slapstick, or something completely forgotten. Your picks help shape future episodes. Until next time, keep the reels spinning, and we'll see you in the next Rewind.